speed.
Good afternoon, everyone. No,
Louder.
I was a teacher. I can speak to a crowd. Even some that aren't paying attention, I can. Welcome to, and they also make music, Conversation with 5 Chester musicians. I just want to start by saying we've got 5 great ones. There are others, and we sure could have gotten all sorts of people, and probably should have. But we wanted to make a program that was of some kind of length or moderate length, so you could enjoy it. I'm just going to introduce the people who are up here, and from there, going to give it to them to take it away.
What's your name?
Whatever the end is.
Yeah, okay. It might be easier for them if you hold your questions till the end, till everybody's gotten a chance to say his own part, or, we've had people make this a real Cracker Barrel and just speak up and ask questions right away, but it might be easier for them if you hold your questions till the end. All right, well, we've got 5 great musicians up here who are, I guess you'd say, part-time musicians, but somehow or other they are always involved in the music scene, and Chester's been great at that, and I'm sure you all realize that for years and years. So I'll just introduce, we've got Lauren Agnelli, who's been the musical director of the Small Town Concert Series, and with Matthew Mail has produced over 60 shows in the area, well, throughout the area. Grammy nominated, produced and directed. We have Leif Nilsson. I had to go into some of the bio because I liked it. Leif played trumpet in middle school. And then he got a little cooler and got to the guitar in high school. But he was with the Exit 6 that you probably remember, although they've lost the exit now, so I guess they couldn't be Exit 6 even if they wanted to. We've got Leslie Strauss. Somehow, between gigs, has managed to be a real estate broker for years, but playing the fiddle and string in the Corinthian Jazz Band and the Moving Target Band for nearly 40 years. I don't know how she fit the real estate in. I do, she helped us rent a place one time. We've got Leonard Tripp Wyeth over there. Award-winning architect, businessman in town, an accomplished guitarist with the Corinthian Jazz Band, Moving Target Band, and Wherever He Can. That was the way it was put before. So. And John Williams, Chester resident for over 35 years, performed a variety of musical groups, and he's always seems to be around. Although the guitar has been the primary instrument, he's also played the drums and the bass. For Ruffley, he sang tenor in the choral group Conbrio, and in his 20s studied classical and jazz guitar and music composition. And presently he's serving as the assistant with or partner, I don't know, chair of the Robbie Collmore Concert Series. But they're going to talk about a little bit about their background, what they've done, and the Chester music scene, which I'm sure you all are at least aware of. So I'll let them take it away.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Oh, that sounds pretty good. I had a long and varied relationship with music growing up. since moving to Chester, though, I think that the association that was the most fulfilling was one that began around the year 2000 and it lasted about 10 years. And it was with my good friend Dan Bernier, and we had a group called Cantico. And we played a lot of music that was we had 2 nylon string guitars. And a lot of the music was Brazilian or Latin influenced, so it had a kind of a nice feeling about it. And as part of that, we both would dress pretty much as I'm dressed tonight. There's a reason for this. I don't dress like this usually, but there's a little bit of a sort of a south of the border feel to the colors of the shirt, and then there was this retro formality. We always wore these black blazers, and this thing has really taken a licking, but it keeps on ticking. It's an amazing jacket, I still wear it. And in between the 2 of us, sitting down playing guitars in front, in the middle, stepping back a little bit, was Hans Losa, who would come as a crazy German barefoot hippie. Pretty much as he was and as he still is today. And it was a great symmetry, and we had a lot of fun. It was great music. But there were a couple other things I wanted to talk about this evening. The first one was that when we first met with the folks who had produced this event, and they said, well, who else should we invite to be part of the panel? And I'm thinking, God, who shouldn't we invite? Because the list is long. And it was a little bit of a thought exercise. I decided to write down all the folks in Chester that I knew of who could have been here, but most of the chairs would have had to be behind us and not out there. But I think out of respect to them and in honoring them, I feel in many ways that we represent somewhat of a random sample of people who play music in Chester. And in honor of all the others, I thought I'd read off this list. It's only 1 page long. And it's in alphabetical order, except for the last 10, which came later. Diane Adams, Randy Allenson, there you are. Jason Baker, Jessica Baker, Dan Bernier, Larry Bloom, Mike Conklin, Ivy Gianetti, Carly Gilbertson, Justin Good, Henry Hotkowski, Eric Lichter, Hans Losa, Tim Marth, Matthew Mayle, Denise Markovitz, Eric Nelson, Ryan Newman, Gary Parrington, Barbara Quinn, Harvey Redak, Laura Reynolds, Colleen Seymour, Elliot Stack, John Stack, Peter Tribucchi, Margie Warner, Thomas Warner, Brian Wilkins, Mark Zanardi, and Jeremy Zeman. Wow. But there's more. Because apparently Leslie went through the same exercise when we shared lists, and I volunteered to speak them. And here's some others who were on her list: Dustin and Ian Meadows, Marion Barstow, she's here tonight, John Joswell, I think I saw him. Where's he? Okay, there he is, all right. Tim Koski, Tracy Kroll, John Martorelli, Timu Colaton, Dana Takagi, and Sue Wyeth. There she is right there. So I wanted to sort of do a shout out for all those Chester musicians, and so it's pretty astonishing, really. The other 2 things I wanted to touch upon tonight was the role of music in philanthropy in Chester, because I've been involved with a lot of charity fundraising events and things that have involved music. And the thing I learned is once you volunteer for one, they start coming at you quickly and frequently. So anyway, interestingly, one of the first things that I did as a volunteer or as a benefit in the town, I did with Leif. It had to be in the mid-90s or something like that. There was a rumor that the meeting house was falling apart at that time. And of course it does fall apart from time to time. But in this case, there was this idea that the balcony was going to crash to the ground. And so we decided to use that as a as an excuse, really, to have a concert and to raise funds for it. And so this was an early effort. We brought a guy, a Chilean jazz guitarist who is a friend of mine. He actually studied with a jazz teacher that I had in Norwalk, Connecticut. And it was called Meeting House Jazz. And we built it as a benefit to benefit the restoration of the 200-year-old Chester Meeting House balcony. Anyway, we had a lot of fun. It was great. We did posters both in, subtle colors and bright colors. But anyway, that was a fun thing. I got involved in a bunch of things when my family were members of the Chester United Church of Chester congregation. There were a lot of things that took place that were benefit oriented, and I think probably the most poignant of them was started after there was a church in down south that was burned to the ground, and everybody was terribly upset about it. And we started a series called the Sound and Spirit series. And the first one was themed Up from the Ashes, and we had a group of spiritual singers come up and perform. It was a fantastic performance. We performed in the church, and we had a series of concerts that followed, and we would do a simple theme for each one. Each one featured different performers and had a different benefit cause, and these are just some of the representative. This is so strange to be talking about music, but holding up posters from events,
But you're also a graphics person.
Well, that's true, yeah. So we had a bunch of things like that. Then also, we did a number of programs at the church itself that were designed to bring people together in the church, and this one was themed Soup and Song. Actually, I'll start with this one. And it was designed to bring not only members of the congregation together, but also people from around the community to hear music that was performed by and large by members of the congregation. And it was fun. This one featured songs from my grandma's attic, so everyone who participated as musicians played songs that were very old. And this is actually the event that Dan Bernier and I got together on and performed two pieces that were well known. I don't remember the names anymore, but they were old songs, but they're very much Latin American tunes. And we discovered how much we enjoyed playing them together. And that was the beginning of our group, Gantico, which began after this event. And then in later, not long after that, I was involved in an organization, BRACE, which I think some of you are probably familiar with, the Brazilian American Youth Exchange Group. And for them, we had these fabulous concerts inviting actually people from out of town, performers who played samba and batucada music from Brazil, drummers, like a group of like 20 drummers, and they were marching through this space here, and everybody was invited to dance, and we had these fabulous posters that were designed, I helped, but the music, the artwork largely was created by Robin Zingoni, who's another Chester luminary, fabulous designer and illustrator. And these will all be up here. Or actually, I'll move them over to the table later to leave for people to look at. So it's just a lot of fun. These were very successful and brought everyone out in the community to enjoy themselves and to party. Then there was a pageant, a beauty pageant, that was put together by some folks in town that Leif and I participated in.
One of those beauty.
Yeah.
We have the pictures.
It was the Rotary, right?
I think so.
Chester
And
Rotary.
the object was to raise money for people who needed some help heating their homes in hard times. And, this was an example of some of the fun that unfolded. So everybody, so all the competitors were given an opportunity to sing or to talk or do a little skit or comedic act, and it was really fun. It was
John, did you
fantastic.
win that? Did you
I'm
win
sorry?
that? You won that, didn't you?
You're supposed to hold your questions to the end.
Raised the most money.
Well, I worked really hard at it, and the reason I was one of several people who actually performed the song, and some of the better acts were comedy acts. I think Andrew Lansman did a thing.
Oh, Julia Child.
He was Julia Child. He did
Oh,
an
that was
impression of
hysterical.
Julia Child, which was really wonderful. I did since I was posing as Marilyn Monroe, it was like in my case, I was introduced as Marilyn Monroe.
Yep.
And I performed, I tortured the lyrics of one of her great songs that I entitled, "Donations Are a Squirrel's Best Friend." And so that was fun. And I was accompanied on that by Carly, who played piano. Is she here tonight? Too bad.
Yes.
And John Joslow played drums. Thank you, John. It was a hit. It was. Anyway, so those are some of the things that have occurred over the years that I've had the privilege to be involved with, both as a designer, a performer, and the last thing I want to close with has to do with this building and the Robbie Collymore series. Actually, Robbie Collymore, for those of you who weren't here or don't know the story, he was a guy who had he had a sort of a luncheonette general store, soda fountain down in the middle of town. And in the late 60s, and he was sort of the hub of town. His place was where the softball team would go after playing a game or whatever. So all the gossip and all the community news sort of went through him, and he was a huge advocate for the town and everything in the town. And he teamed up with a guy who was a retired singing teacher from New York City who moved to Chester, Burton Cornwall. I think Robbie Collymore became concerned because this building was falling into disrepair. This building had been around for over 200 years, has been around for well over 200 years. And it had served many purposes over the years. It had been a place of worship for a long time. People would come in the old days and spend all day on Sunday here. Can you believe it? They would actually bring their livestock that would be out in the green up there while they were in here worshiping. And it also became a sort of just a general meeting house. It served many, many purposes over the years, but towards the 60s, it had become, forgotten largely. It wasn't serving an immediate purpose, and a lot of people got very excited about the building of the elementary school in town, and they said, well, we can just have our concerts and other civic events there, and never mind the meeting house. And Robbie Collymore had a different idea. He thought it was a historical treasure that ought to be looked after, and he, working with Burton Cornwall, decided to start having musical concerts in order to raise money for the rehabilitation of this very building. And one thing led to another, and the concerts that they had in the beginning became a regular series. Some will recognize the name of the Robbie Collymore Concert Series. It took his name after he died. And if it were not for those earlier efforts, using music to attract people here and donate money for the cause, we wouldn't be here today. And there would be no music in this meeting house today. So it's a pretty significant thing, I think, in Chester to be to have this as a treasure that we can all enjoy. And it's very much aligned with the historicals. As a matter of fact, the same people who began the music series in order to fund the renovation of this space, they also then went on to form the Chester Historical Society. So one thing led to another, and here we all are tonight. That's all I have to say.
All right, John, thank you. He's given you a wonderful history, I think, of and the variety of music and how many years we've all been involved and why we're all involved. When I was asked to sit on the panel, I was looking for a different angle, so I'm glad you gave that one. My angle really was not a musician. My career was not music, but I needed to have the music in my life. And so the ... and they also make music became the theme, I think, for many of us, because we have our livings, our livelihood, our careers were totally different. Try being a musician and making enough money to live. Doesn't work. Doesn't work, you know that.
Good one.
Yeah, okay, fine. So what I started to think about were the kids that take their musical instruments in school, 3rd and 4th graders. I happen to know one very particularly, who say, "Watch, I don't want to be a trumpet player when I grow up. I don't want to play saxophone when I grow up," and they put it down. But they don't have to be trumpet players and saxophone players. They can play whatever they want and take a career and enjoy that career and put the music in the evenings or on the weekends or in later life when they've retired. But the music, your instrument, your voice, whatever, can stay with you for your entire life and enhance whatever it is you're doing. One of the band members who we played with for many years with the Corinthian Jazz Band had 3 full-time jobs. I mean, probably 60, 80 hours a week. And he would show up the last one in a band. We never knew if he'd make it. He made it every night and said, "I need this so bad." And that's I think for a lot of us, it's very cathartic. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about what happened to me when I was in 3rd grade and it was time to take up your first musical instrument. My mother decided I had to play the violin because she played the violin. So I wanted to play the cello. I loved the voice of the cello. But think back to when I was a kid. We didn't wear slacks or pants. We wore skirts and dresses. And my father took one look at how you had to sit to play the cello, and he said, "Absolutely not." I don't know. Jeannie Shilkert, she was allowed to play the cello. Her father didn't care, but my father did. So I played the violin. Now they gave out all the rental instruments, and it's always exciting to smell a brand new instrument, right? And my friend Cynthia opens up her case, and there's the most beautiful turquoise felt liner in her half-size violin case, and I went, "Oh, that's gorgeous." And then I opened mine, and it was olive green. I don't know if you can think back to being an 8-year-old girl, but olive green is not your primary color. And I didn't want it, but there were no other violins left, and I went home. I hated it from the day I started to play it. Hated it. I learned to like it. But can you imagine olive green for little kids? So anyway, I was tracking towards, playing violin professionally, and the options are you teach it, you play in an orchestra, or some ancillary group, and I did not want to make that commitment. So by the time I applied to colleges, I was accepted wherever I wanted to go in fine arts as a violinist, but I went liberal arts because I chickened out and became a real estate broker, which had nothing to do with anything. And in Chester for over 30 years, which was great. If you didn't see my old office, it's where the Little House Brewery is now. A lot more business there than I ever had, I'm sure. But anyway, the violin got me to play in orchestras, chamber orchestras, ensemble groups, recording groups, and that's how I met Trip. Because we had a 2nd grade teacher at Chester Elementary School, Pat St. James, who was writing her own music, and she wanted to record. And I don't know how Pat knew you guys, but she said, I know one of my students, 2nd graders, one of my students' moms plays the violin, so I got invited in to lay down a track. And that's how I met Trip and his wife Sue. Because they were also playing on Pat's CDs, so, or no, it was an 8-track, right? Yeah, they drive. And it goes back a day or two. Yes, that was back in, I think, 1987. And shortly after that, Trip invited me to join them on Friday night. They had a little group that would get together and play. And I thought, that sounds like great fun. So I packed up 2 tote bags full of music and my music stand and my violin. And I walked into a friend's house and they looked at me like I had horns. I said, what do you have? And I said, oh, my music. I can't play without music. I'm classically trained. Well, we don't read. So you don't need that. I said, but it was months before I would get 1 or 2 notes out each night because I absolutely didn't have anything in my head. It evolved. It does evolve. So I can read, but I can also improvise a little bit here and there. And that's all your fault. Anyway, yeah, the music was banned. So that group eventually became Moving Target Jazz Band. We get together every Friday night. We eat chocolate, popcorn, and drink margaritas. And you're all invited to sit in because it's a fun band. And some of you have sat in with us, which makes it even more fun. The other thing that music in my life has done, not only has it given me great new friends, Corinthian Jazz Band is down at Bill's Seafood every other Wednesday. When I joined there shortly after Trip and I got together, I'm the only female in an 8 or 9 man band, and it was Leslie and the Old Guys. Okay, so you know where this is going, right? Yeah, you can ask my grandson up there, he'll tell you. You're old! Anyway, so being able to play the violin, or now we call it a fiddle because of the style of music I'm playing, it's the same instrument. It's a stylistic terminology, that's all there's to it. Restaurants, farmers markets, weddings, funerals, gazebo concerts and fundraisers for the Land Trust. In Essex, fundraisers for Chester's Park and Rec. Fundraisers down at the Cape for the Shoreline Soup Kitchen. We played at Cedar Lake and Deep River for all their concert series. Point being, you get to go to a lot of places and meet a lot of people and have a lot of fun if you keep that instrument in your life, no matter what else you're doing. And that's pretty much my whole point here. Yeah? Okay. Thank you. And here comes Trip Wyatt.
Hello, my name's Leonard. I'm a recovering musician.
No, you're not.
I've been clean for 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah, speak it in my...
Testing, 1, 2. There is, as this is unfolding, it occurs to me that there are a couple of other angles that are probably worth. Better?
Yeah.
All right. From the angles discussed so far, it occurs to me there's a couple of other angles that are worth bringing up here. There is something to be said, the way the brain works, there's something about music that if you are participating in it, whether you're singing, playing an instrument, or both, you can't be occupied by other thoughts.
Right.
It occupies the full brain. What that means is if you are in a stressful profession, for example, architecture, there you need a retreat from time to time, and there is something magical. And the reason the Friday night gatherings that Leslie's referring is the absolute necessity to let the brain go somewhere else at some point. This has turned out to be a matter of absolute sanity and a guaranteed way to avoid a nervous breakdown. I suppose.
So far.
The other aspect of it that actually everybody knows, but maybe it hasn't been articulated much. There was, in 1964, when the Ed Sullivan Show opened and closed with the Beatles, for example. there was a wave felt through the youth of the country. Anybody who watched it, they definitely felt it. Now, yes, the Screaming Girls did have a certain impact, but that wasn't the real magic that was happening. There was a community of 4 guys up there doing something that was so interlocked and so intertwined that it was a sense of community. It was a brotherhood, if you will, a sense of real closeness with a small group of people working towards one common goal. It might be as simple as song. I think everybody felt it at some point, and there was, at some point, if you play an instrument, any instrument, most people want to have the opportunity to play with others. And that magic that occurs, like John and Dan Bernier and what have you, is only achievable by a group of humans getting together to do it. And just looking around the room, there are others that do this on a regular basis in different forms of music, and they clearly have a very tight-knit community. This is really good for sanity as well. All right, so that covers the psychology of music. Just adding one other kind of approach to this, there was a point in high school. There was not a great deal of music in my household growing up. Neither parent was musical, neither parent played an instrument. And I do remember going to church and people would kind of move away if my parents were singing. And when I got to high school, my freshman year, I was walking down the central lane, and it was autumn. It was a warm day, the windows were open, and there was music rolling out of the first floor of a dormitory. And it sounded different it didn't sound like a record. It sounded live. So, like a magnet, I was just drawn over to walk and stick my head in the window and see what the hell was going on in there. And there was one guy sitting down on the floor with his mail order baby blue electric guitar, playing through a case that had an amplifier in it. And if you actually listen to those now, they sound pretty horrible. However, it was wonderful. And very, very musical. I had no idea that you could do that. And the little switch went off in my head at that point. A little later that year, on a Wednesday afternoon, somebody who has played here, this is 1968, or 7, I guess, and it was Gordon Bach came and pulled out one of these chairs, sat down with his nylon string guitar, and addressed the whole school on an afternoon. I remember every single tune he played that day. You could feel, he did a tune called Gulls in the Morning. You could feel them. You could see them. It was magic. Damn it, I didn't know you could do that. And these all had impressions that cause you to want to play. And of course, then it leads to wanting to play with others. Does this strike any kind of a chord with? Yeah. So I'll leave it there. But
No, don't leave it there. Talk about what you're doing now with your music, acoustic.
yes, Mom.
Your story.
Well, this is where music gets completely out of control. I met a whole series of people when I moved to this area. I was living in Essex at the time, and some of them were musical. I picked up several friends. It was people to play with, to expand your horizons, and they were all very influential at the time. I decided to try and record some of them because they were composing their own music. I met somebody named Brian Wolf, who incredibly kind of inspired and talented musician.
Yes, Brian.
And it turned out that this led to meeting somebody in Guilford called George Youngblood, who was a restoration guy, which led to a growing understanding of vintage instruments, which is, it's the Ellison Winham big hole that you, if you lean over, you fall into. And by golly, one thing led to another, and pretty soon I made the mistake of getting one. And that led to another, and eventually that led to opening a shop. Poor Brian got sucked in at that point. I just had a chance to ruin his life also. That grew in Guilford to a point, and there were adventures along the way. We became very aware of the needs of the Shoreline Soup Kitchen during the middle of that. So mostly at Brian's urging, we put together a concert each year on Black Friday. The reason Black Friday at the Cape was because at that time, the Cape couldn't get anybody to do anything on the Friday after Thanksgiving. So they were willing to kind of cut the rate of using it so we could afford it. And it took off fairly quickly. We were able, over a 10-year period, to raise over $100,000 for the Shoreline Soup Kitchens. One thing led to another. As it turns out, we were renting a space in Guilford. I'll spare you all the details, but suffice it to say, when the sewer line from above us broke the second time, we decided that maybe we ought to move out of that place. As it had turned out, I had just bought a building here in Chester for my office. It was not my intention to move the shop here. However, the shop was definitely leaving Guilford. It needed a place right away. So it ended up here as well. Now we're experimenting with kind of the art of the guitar, a new concert series, just focused very much on guitar. And this was the first year. It seemed to be well received, and we'll give it another shot next year and see if we can pull it off again. There were, the last thing I'll say about that is during this adventure, we met a number of wonderful musicians who invited us to Nashville, which led to meeting other wonderful musicians. And the shop got us involved with the North American Merchants Association, which got us out to California, where we meet other amazing musicians. During the course of all of this, it opened up the doors so we could suddenly have these concerts. Now, it's just thankful that we have the ability to call up these guys and ask them to do it, rather than beg them to do it. And yet we sometimes end up begging anyway. There you are. Is that okay,
Much
Mom?
better, yes.
Well, I guess it's my turn. They're doing the boy-girl thing. Well, hello. I like using microphones.
Good.
I feel power. Yeah. Some of you know me, many of you don't, but I have to tell you, I hardly know myself. I mean, I'm a walking contradiction. I'm very hammy and outgoing on stage, but I'm also very shy deep down, and I'm an INFJ, if you've studied Myers-Briggs. And I'm very strong-willed. And anyway, how am I going to do this talk and not bore anybody? I just don't want to bore anybody. That's my biggest fear, is am I boring you? That's why I turned to writing, is because when I talk to people, sometimes their eyes would glaze over, and so I thought, I'll write. And they're not gonna look bored because I can't see their eyes. Anyway, I was raised Catholic, and I was always told to not be boastful and not brag and all that. But sometimes now that I'm older, I feel maybe I can. Maybe that's okay. So I might as well. And I'm really glad I have a very supportive family. My husband and my sister are here, and they're really great. They keep me going because a lot of times I do give up. I do give up in a lot of ways because I just feel stressed out by a lot of things, but music doesn't stress me out. It's my day job, which is I'm a recreation director at a skilled nursing facility. And if you have ever been in one, you know how crazy it can get. And if you know anything about doing recreation, you know that we are asked to do almost everything except the nursing things. We can't do med passes and we can't intubate anybody, but, we can do a lot of other stuff. Anyway, it is my fond hope that someday I can maybe just make some music at the nursing homes and maybe not be so stressed out. But meanwhile, I'll just go backwards with the music because to start from the beginning is just, nah. Okay, so if you might see over there, there's some beautiful posters of many of the shows that Small Town Concert Series has done. Because when Matt and I moved here to Chester, we didn't know people, and he found out I was a musician, some months after we got together. And I said, well, I don't want to tell you I'm a musician because some people don't like them. They think we're crazy. Well, we are in a nice way, So anyway, he and I went to the Ivory, and they had an open mic. And that's how we started meeting musicians. And then we decided we would like to start a concert series to bring local talent in to show their talents off. And then we started to want to raise money for Chester Library. And so we started putting together a concert series that people would come to, basically with our Leonard Cohen tribute, which it was really wonderful. We did, I don't know how many, maybe 7 of them, 8 of them. Leonard Cohen is an amazing songwriter, and actually, not just smart, but a great sense of humor. And anyway, we did many, many things here that were lots of fun and also stressful, but but it was okay because we had a community. And the people here at this table, we've done music with all of you at some point, and it was always very rewarding, and we loved it. And drums. Now I'm learning drums because I thought that would be interesting. And my husband is an unusual man. He bought me a drum kit on Facebook Marketplace, and he also said, here it is, it's in the dining room. I said, what, you want me to play in the dining room? Yeah, why not? He doesn't mind the noise. The cat, the dog, they don't mind it. I don't mind it because I'm behind the kid, so there you go. It's just, I always like having an adventure in music, and to me that's a great adventure. I've also ventured into playing ukulele, and Jim Beloff, the king of flea market music, is here, ukulele meister. And I played bass for years because I loved the bass, and I thought, well, what's that sound like, and what role does that play in pop music? I love pop music and country music, Americana. That's where I go. I also learned a lot of classical as a kid. I don't read music. My mom was a music teacher and piano teacher. And when I was 14, I said, Ma, I think I'd like to learn to play something like a piano. Lori, you'll never learn from me. You're way too headstrong. Why don't I buy you a guitar? I said, okay, Ma, you can buy me a guitar. And she bought me a nice Guild F30 from Sam Ash on Long Island, and there you go. Oh, by the way, I grew up in Queens, New York, hence my mother's accent. And I moved to Chester here in 2005 with Matthew Mail. And, the rest is kind of, I guess, history in a weird way. And before that, I lived in New York City, and I made a lot of music with a lot of different interesting people. The Canadian Dave Rave, who I wrote many songs with, and made a lot of great music, and he's still a dear friend. And what else? I mean, there's a lot I've done, and if you really want to know more, you can just like read about it online or something. But they did honor me with a Whaley Award. This is from last year. It's the New England Music Hall of Fame. Yes. So at any rate, I've always found a way to get in trouble with music, and I haven't made great, huge amounts of money, but sometimes it got me through. But I never really had a very lucrative career in any way. But I've had a great history and a lot of fun most of the time, and I've also stressed out a lot of times because that's my nature. But you know, I'm really glad you all are here. I love the Historical Society, and you guys are all wonderful musicians, and I could probably never live up to your expertise, but I do have a lot of spirit and a lot of enthusiasm, and that's what I like. And if you look over there, there's a bunch of recordings that I did over the years. I started out in New York in '76, starting a band called Nervous Rex, and because we still are.
There you go.
1978. Anyway, I've always found a way to find people to make music with who are really good at marketing, publicity, and all that. And I think that was one of my strengths, is I always knew, that guy, he schmoozes everybody. I gotta be in a band with him. Oh, they're asking me to be in their band. That's good. That was the Washington Squares. And then his Tom Goodkind's great Tom Goodkind's great way of keeping us out there and networking. So we had a Grammy nomination at one point, which was great fun too, and it made my mom proud. And then all she would say to me is, "Laurie, wear something shiny on stage." So I'll try, Ma. I'll try. Anyway, yeah. So. I mean, music, I have a love-hate relationship. It's beguiled me, it's lied to me, it's seduced me, it's given me comfort, it's done so many things, but where's my hit record? Man, I just wanted to do that and tour even more. I love road trips, And I probably never stop talking unless I decide, okay, let me just cool it, and thank you again, everybody, for coming. And,
Leif, one moment. Leif, before I turn it over to Leif to close out the presentation, a little something, and I spoke long enough before, I know, but there was something very important I left out when I talked about the beginning of the Collymore series and how it led to the restoration of the building. I said nothing about the intervening years, 51 of them, where the Robbie Collymore series has been putting on at least 4 stellar concerts every year. And we had been able to do that largely through the effort and the leadership of that man over there, Martin Nadell. Thank you, Martin, for all of your leadership. Martin retired the position last year, and I've had the privilege of helping to co-produce it this year with my friend James Paisley over there. It's not really as easy as you made it look. And another really special thing about the series over the years is we had the effort of Peter Good, international renowned designer who was a renowned resident of Chester. I think everybody knows him, right? Jan?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, and he produced so many beautiful posters, and he did the initial logo for the series, and we have a whole bunch of the posters which are actually on file at the Historical Society Museum in a flat file for posterity, and a bunch of them are here, so when you get a chance, they'll be left over there for everyone to see. Thank you. That was, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what to say. You guys are so fantastic, and you've got these great lives of being musicians and graphic designers and tour leaders and I don't know what else. Real estate brokers. So when I was a little kid, I remember my grandparents, there was a guitar hanging around, a piano, and somebody had a fiddle, but they didn't really play that much, my aunts and my grandparents. But they did once in a while, and I saw pictures of them playing when they were younger. And I heard my father say something about the accordion that he used to play, and saw photographs of him playing that. And in 4th grade, they gave us recorders to start learning music. I think it was 4th and 5th grade, 4th grade. And all of a sudden, one day, all these guys came in with trumpets and saxophones and different instruments, and they played this mariachi kind of Mexican stuff. Like really dramatic stuff, and I thought, man, this is just like a spaghetti western. And so Mark and Giz and I got trumpets, and Greg got a trombone. And so we had this little, we practiced Home on the Range and stuff like that, and we got up on the stage and do a performance of it. So my father at one point, I remember him saying, yeah, an instrument's a good thing to learn how to play, because when you get older and you go to parties, you have something to do, you can play music at a party. Oh, what a great idea. So, I was just a little kid. And so fast forward to whatever year it was, the 2nd year of the Womenless Beauty Pageant. And I brought myself on banjo, and Mike Conklin on acoustic bass, and Matt Geirog on guitar to sing Home on the Range right on the stage. And we were dressed as women. And so, of course, I still have my beard. I never shaved my beard for this. So we started singing that, and then as a joke, we stopped and said, "Come on, this is old stuff. We don't want to play this anymore. So we did an original or something, some kind of a rock song. It was a lot of fun." And the next year or the year before, I dressed up as a woman artist, and I did a self-portrait, charcoal drawing or crayon drawing or something like that, and auctioned it off. I think for like $175. I think it went for. For the whatever it was we were making money for.
Yeah.
To keep people happy. Home heaping, yeah. Home happiness. So along with my artwork that I've been doing all my life is what I realized that it brings joy to people. Because people keep telling me that. They come in and they look at my paintings and they say they feel happy when they see my work. Not when they see the prices so much, but they'd be happy. So the music that I play, I think, brings happiness to people too, and joy. And there's a number of friends of mine that I play music with that are in our band Patty Whack, and John is actually in Arrowhead as well. And John plays at nursing homes, and he's asked me to come along once in a while and play with him. And it's just amazing to sing songs and play songs and watch people come out of their comas almost, and it's just, it's such a lovely thing. I can't even believe that you can make money doing that. It should be illegal.
Oh, right?
So, so I've been playing music. I started off with the trumpet, and wasn't really ever that good with it, but I had a lot of fun with it. And then by high school, I picked up the guitar and learned a few chords, and we make up songs and played stuff, and then I gave up playing music for a long time when I was studying art, and just gave it up. And then I started playing my baritone ukulele a little bit, and then I started playing guitar again when I was about 40, and then all of a sudden I started playing banjo, and I started looking for people to play with, and started Exit 6 with Justin Good and Jeremy Zeman and Mark Zanardi and a couple other guys that came and went, and then left that after a while and started a band called the Side Doors, which was everybody came in one at a time and played with me by the wood stove through the side door at the gallery. So I said, oh yeah, Todd, you got to meet Matt. First Matt came over, and his wife commissioned me to do a bunch of paintings of him and their kids. And so he sat and played his parlor guitar, and did a little 9x12 painting of him playing, and then we jammed for a little bit after that, and then Todd came in, and we played, and said, you gotta meet Matt, and then I'd already been playing with Mike Conklin and some other project. And so the four of us got together and started a band called the Half Beards, because half of us had beards. And it turned into the Side Doors after a while. Gary Parrington came in, Colleen Seymour came in. We had this great rock band for a while, a lot of originals and really cool covers. And then one day, I came back from Ireland. This is a sad story, but it's also fun. And they said, well, we have had a band LLC meeting and decided that we don't really want banjo in this band. We want to be a straight rock and roll band.
Oh.
I was like, you what? So I said, okay, you have to get rid of the name. That's my name. You can't use the Side Doors. I mean, it's my side door. You're gonna have to come up with a new name. It took them all summer to come up with a new name. Kept hounding them. Finally, they became Butter Jones Band, and they're still limping along, but they were. No. Then they realized, oh, it wasn't really the banjo that we didn't like, it was somebody else that was overplayed or something like that. So it's funny how bands can dissolve and then turn into other things, because then I started Arrowhead. And that was because one of the members of that band played lefty guitar. I played, lefty, okay, this way.
Yeah.
I played banjo this way, and then we had a mandolin player who was a short little mandolin in between us, so he was the Arrowhead, and we were the Arrowhead band. And just visual thing, yeah, right? And then that grew into, now it's John and I pretty much have been holding Arrowhead up for the last year, or 6 months, but today practice was, John couldn't be there, but there was a resurgence. We worked on a lot of Pablo songs and Doug songs, and we talked about all these ideas of bringing it down to almost nothing and then pulling it back up. These are all mostly originals that we do, some covers, certainly not covers, traditional songs. So I also have a concert series in the garden that started as anyway, it's been in the garden for the last 15 years, I think.
Yes, it's very good.
I think at least, yeah. It's been 10 years since I built the eyebrow dormer, and it was about 15 years since I built the amphitheater, and I did it for a few years before that, so maybe it's been 20 years. In 2005, when we moved to town, we were having those salons, the indoor salon things, and then we did them outside. We had Dave Rave, and we would do a concert one time, a couple times, and so anyway, I just got kind of more and more involved in performing arts as well as painting and that kind of artwork that I do. And so I got invited to play with Paddywhack, which is an Irish band, and a few members of the band are over here watching this and yawning, and rolling their eyes and laughing and smiling. There's Johnny smiling, laughing, and Laura has been in both of the bands, but she got a little too busy with work and has taken some time off, and we hope that she comes back with her cello and her talents of songwriting. And maybe this is a point where I say, would you like to come up and do a song? Or two, or three, or four?
Why not?
It would be not right if we didn't play some music.
We're not using music today, but Leif and I always share a music fan, so even without music, we have to be next to each other.
Doing great.
Okay, we're doing great.
While they're finishing tuning, I will first of all thank the Historical Society for putting this little panel together today, especially Sandy and Keith Dower, who've been working very hard. And I see in the back, Sandy's prepared some lovely little goodies for you, so please help yourselves when you're all done. And we have a couple of kids here. Where's my book? Tuck? Shane, if you come down here, we may make it worth your while. Anyway, you all good? All right, take it away.
Ready? started at 4.
I'm just saying, but one more, one more.
Any questions?
Yeah, was anyone gonna ask questions?
Why?
This last song is called Hourglass of Time. It's a song that I wrote a few years ago when I lived in Ivoryton. I used to hear that Essex steam train all the time. That old steam train whistle. And that's an inspiring sound, this song. And that it is song. We'll do one instrument after. When you hear that old steam train whistle, fading away, moving down the line, then you know you ain't going with her. She's just a cloud of smoke fading into the sky, and the night birds they sing a memory long ago and yesterday. Only hours last time and empty, and the days of wine and roses slipped away. There was a time he was a young man, standing tall to that parade, with the devil, the bottle, and shotgun on the bar stool where he drank his cares away. And the night birds they sing of memory long ago and yesterday. The hourglass of time ran empty, and the days of wine and roses slipped away. It takes a lucky man to find the treasures of a woman one and settle down. With the devil in the bottle and the shotgun, it's just a house of cards that all came tumbling down. In the night, first they sing of memories of long ago and yesterday. Only hourglass of time ran empty, and the days of wine and roses slipped away. So when you hear that old steam train fading away, moving down the line, then you know you ain't going with her. She's just a cloud of smoke fading into the sky, and the night birds they sing of memories long ago and yesterday. For the hourglass of time ran empty, and the days of wine and roses slipped away. And the days of wine and roses slipped away.
You look so
One of the songs that John and I have done at nursing homes that I just love doing is, so you guys might want to join us. You are my sunshine in the sea.
You
are
are
my
sunshine.
When you watch somebody wake up out of a coma and start to smile.
It's probably the most requested song I've experienced at nursing homes, and I played it a lot.
It just takes
It's
a
always a
breath away.
pleasure. Do it at TFC.
It's a ukulele.
Start her up.
Thank you all for coming, for participating. If you want a kazoo, take a kazoo so you can make music in addition to whatever else you're doing. Thank you. JC Haynes did our audio visual, thank you, and he's gonna put this up on YouTube under the Tesla Historical Society, right? Please help yourself to refreshments. Thanks for coming.
Mic drop. Cut.